Okay, so today we are doing yin. So make sure that you are nice and comfortable. You're nice and warm. Grab all of your props. I've got a bolster and 2 blocks, but feel free, if you don't have any of this, you can grab blankets, you can grab cushions, pillows, anything that's going to kind of stack yourself up. So we're actually going to start today in child's pose, but I want you to find the most comfortable child's pose you can. So toes together, knees wide. If when you fold forward, your bum is up off of your heels, grab a blanket or a cushion and place that in between your bum and your heels, and then fold forward. Alternatively, you can use pillows or blankets to place them in front of your knees so that you can lean forward onto the prop. Sorry, I'm going to take my microphone off because it's turning. So you can come forward like this and kind of prop your chest up a little bit. But if you are really flexible and you can get all the way down to the ground and it feels comfortable, then please do that. Bring your hands out long, forehead down onto the ground. And just take a couple moments to really relax here. So remember, in yin yoga, we hold the poses for a while and we try to release all the muscles. So if it starts feeling too much and you feel like your body is tensing, make it easier on yourself. Grab some props, prop yourself up, make it a little bit more of a relaxation pose. And let's take 10 really long inhales and exhales here. Really focus on the breath, making sure that your mind isn't wandering off anywhere else. Every inhale, just feel the back of your chest expanding. Every exhale, just feel your body sinking closer towards the ground. And then keeping your body low, let's walk our hands over towards the right. Now you can move your props or remove them depending on how this feels. But again, you're just trying to relax as best you can with a little extra left side bend here. So again, move your hands to the right and release back down, release the head, relax as best you can. Really breathe into the left side of the lungs. And then staying low, we're going to walk our hands all the way over towards the left side. So now you're getting a nice side stretch all down the right side of the body. Release everything back down. Use the props if you need to. And release here. Long inhales, long exhales. And then bring your hands back to center, release back into your child's pose. And slowly lift your head and make your way onto all fours. So shoulders over the wrists, hips above the knees. Let's just take a couple of cat-cows here. So inhale, drop the belly down, look forward. Exhale, reverse, round the back. Taking it nice and slow. Inhale, down. Exhale, reverse. One more, inhale, down. Exhale, reverse. Just come back to neutral. Let's step the right foot up in between the hands. Now we're going to come into our low lunge, so you can grab your blocks. And then shuffle that right foot as far forward as you can go, so that your knee is still above your ankle. So sink your hips down low, and then shuffle that front foot so your ankle comes below the knee. And we're going to hold it here. Try to keep your chest open, so we're not rounding down. Open the chest, and imagine sinking that left hip into the ground. If you feel like you need a little bit of extra support here, you can grab one of your blocks, place it at an angle against the top of the left thigh, just so that your left thigh can lean on that and it takes off a little bit more of the pressure. So remember, we're trying to relax as best we can in these poses, but you are still going to feel a stretch. So make it as easy as possible to where you're still feeling about 70% of the stretch. Remember, we're not going too far because we're trying to release the muscles. So every time you exhale, release any muscles that you feel are tight. And let's take 10 deep breaths here. Okay, just check back in with your body. Just take a wiggle of the hips. Maybe move your hips back and forward, maybe side to side. Just loosen them off. And then find that low lunge again. And just see if maybe you go a little bit deeper, or maybe you have to come out of it because it feels too much. Listen to your own body. Again, you're finding about 70% of that stretch. Long inhales and exhales here. I apologize if you can hear my washing machine in the background. I was hoping it was going to be done by past, and it keeps going, going and going. So sorry if you can hear that. Last couple of breaths here. Really release those hips, release the legs, release the bum muscles. And then removing the blocks, bring your hands down to the ground. Take your right knee back to meet the left. And again, just take a few hip circles here. Maybe your hips back and forward, round and round. Just notice the difference in both sides. And then let's step the left foot up. So again, you might find a tiny bit of resistance to start with, just because we've stretched the other side first. So sink those hips low. And then shuffle that front foot forward so that your knee is above your ankle. Find a position where you feel the stretch, but it's not too intense. Open the chest and see if you can relax here. Couple of breaths. Let's just take a quick wiggle here. So maybe move your hips backwards again. Rock it back and forward, maybe side to side. So noticing where it feels tight on you this morning. And then come back to that low lunge. And again, just notice if maybe you go a little bit further, maybe you come out of it. Find that stretch. Sink that right hip low. Use your block if you want against the right thigh for a little bit of extra support on that back leg. Long inhales and exhales here. Feel free to move as well. You're never stuck here. So if something's irritating you, if maybe your clothes are caught in between your stomach and your leg or your belly, and you want to move it around, feel free to move. And then find that comfortable position and see if you can relax into it. Can you get a tiny bit lower? But still breathe comfortably. And then let's move the blocks, place the hands back on the mat. Take the left knee back to meet the right. And let's wiggle out those hips again, back and forward, side to side. And then let's come into our half plank. So plank pose, but with your knees down. So hover over your wrists. Bringing your elbows backwards, slowly lower down all the way to your belly. Okay, we're going to come into a variation of Sphinx pose. So bring the shoulders underneath the elbows, shoulders above the elbows, sorry. Not coming into some weird yoga pretzel right now. Okay, spread your fingers wide, ground down through your toes, open the chest, feel your back activate, feel the muscles of your back turn on. Now, you're more than welcome to stay here. If you want a little bit more support, grab your bolster or a blanket or pillows, roll it underneath your chest. Bring your elbows in front of the prop. It doesn't matter now if your elbows come a little bit more forward than your shoulders because you're propped up. So that's fine. And you can hold it here. It's really nice to have a bolster or something underneath the chest just for a little bit more support. Look forward. Try to relax the bum and the legs, but keep a little bit of activation in the shoulders. So you're still grounding down through your elbows to keep your chest lifted. You're not just completely slumped over here. Keep the head up. Long inhales and exhales here. Can you relax and find some comfort in the discomfort? Let your pelvis melt into the ground. But keep that chest nice and open. And you can stay here, or if you need a little bit more, you can bring the hands a little bit wider, about as wide as the yoga mat. Tent your fingertips, so your fingertips are on the ground. Straighten your arms and come up a little bit higher. Widen your feet, so your feet are about as mat's distance apart, just so it takes a little bit of pressure off the low back. Maybe you use your prop still, shuffle that under you a little bit closer. Now you've come up a little bit higher. And relax as best you can here. Try to keep the shoulders away from the ears. You can always stay in Sphinx pose, by the way. You never have to come up. Listen to your body and what your body needs, because we do not want any tensing. So if it's starting to feel way too much, loosen off. If you're still wanting a tiny bit more, bring those hands in closer. The closer in they are, the higher a lift you're going to get, the deeper a back bend you're going to get. So it just depends on you today and what your body needs. But wherever you are, make sure you can breathe. Slow inhales, slow exhales. Come down whenever you need to come down if you are up high. Just a couple more breaths here. If your arms were straight, start to bend them. Push yourself up onto all fours. Just bring your spine to neutral. Just took quite a deep back bend there, so just neutral out the spine. Let's bring the right knee behind the right wrist. So the right foot is going to go underneath the left hip. We're coming into pigeon pose. So once your right knee is behind your right wrist, lengthen out the left leg behind you, slide it back so that your hips get lower and lower towards the ground. Lengthen up through the spine. Make sure that your right knee is coming out at a little bit of a diagonal, not right underneath your chest, out to the side slightly. Maybe you use a block for underneath your right hip if your bum is trying to lean onto the side. And then you can either stay up here or you can fold down onto your elbows or even make a pillow and completely let go. Now, if pigeon is inaccessible for you, roll over onto your back. But to demonstrate this, and just do figure 4. So your right ankle comes on top of your left knee and you can hug the left thigh in. So completely up to you. You're going to get the same kind of stretch. Pigeon can just be a tiny bit deeper because you've got your body weight on it. So find whichever position works for you. Again, making sure that there's no knee pain, that there's no pins and needles, and that there's no cramping. If you get any of that, come back, come up, loosen out, maybe try again, maybe do figure four. So release down. The closer your head is to the ground, the more of a stretch you probably will feel. Let's take a couple of deep breaths here. This is a very intense stretch, so please listen to your body. Relax it as best you can. And remember, your props are here to help you. So again, if you want that bolster or pillows or blankets underneath your chest, then do so. Just check back in with your body. Just see if there's anything it needs, a little wriggle, a little movement. To go a bit deeper, to come back out. And if you're down on your arms or your elbows, prop yourself back up. Come back to all fours and switch to the other side. So your left knee, you might want to wiggle out your hips again before doing this. Your left knee comes behind your left wrist, and then slide your right leg back, lowering your hips down. Remember, your left knee is slightly out to the side. You can either stay up high or come down onto your elbows, or come all the way down onto your forearm, or maybe even rest your head on the ground. But take your variation. You can use the block underneath your hip to stop you rolling over onto one side. You can come onto your back and come into figure four. But just release here for a moment, and don't ever rush this. Don't think that you need to come all the way down to the mat right away. Maybe you stay up high for a couple of breaths, then come onto your elbows for a couple of breaths, and then come down to the floor. Maybe you don't reach the floor at all. As long as you're feeling something and you can release the muscles, relax into it, that's all we're going for. And remember, if your mind wanders off, bring all of your attention back to your breath, back to your body. And if you're on your arms or your elbows, just prop yourself back up. Come back to all fours. And we're going to make our way onto our backs. So however you can. Roll over onto our backs. Grab your props. Place them however you would like. We're coming into Shavasana. So you can place a bolster underneath the knees so that your low back is flat on the ground. You can use your blocks to get a little bit of a back bend. Have one block behind your chest and one block for your head. Completely up to you. How you would like to rest in your Shavasana. If you want to stay sat up, you can stay sat up. But completely up to you here. Take your variations. If you're in a cold room, you might want a blanket. Might just want to come to a regular Shavasana or corpse pose, legs out long, hands come open. Maybe one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Let's take a big inhale through the nose. And sigh it out. Do that 2 more times. So if you're breathing in clean, refreshing air, you're letting go of all the stale air that you no longer need. And then come back to your natural breath. Let's just take a moment here just to check in with the body. See if there's anywhere that needs releasing. Noticing how it feels now compared to at the start of the class. It's really great to notice if one side feels a bit more achy than the other. It's usually a sign that one side's a little bit tighter. But don't try to change anything, just notice it. And then relax the muscles as best you can. Let's find a little bit of silence just to focus completely on our breath. Do not let your mind wander off. And just check in with your body again. When you're ready, start deepening the breath. And slowly wiggling the fingers and the toes. And if you're not in a back bend, take a big stretch up overhead. And then let's roll over onto our sides, rolling off any props that you may be on. Just taking a pause here. And then slowly pushing yourself up to seated. Blink open the eyes if you haven't done so already. Bring the hands down by the sides. Big inhale, sweep your hands up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Namaste.